Okay, part two. Um, we got the topo solid built, but if you look at this corner of the building back here is up off the ground. So on my site plan, I popped a section in, and you can see it's back part of the building is kind of floating. Um, Couple of things that we're going to have to adjust our our topography around the building. And in in the terminology out in the world, you're going to create a building pad. Okay. Now, Revit used to have a building pad tool that would do this automatically for you, but a couple of years ago they did away with the building pad tool, and so now you have to make a void or a cut or an excavation to remove material, but there's not really a good way to add material. So what we're going to do is we're going to add material to bring our surface up, and it gets a little complicated, but we want to bring it up so that our building is no longer floating, and we're not really going to try and do gravel underneath and excavate for the footings. It gets really complex and tedious trying to do all that. So we're not going to try and do any of that stuff. We're just going to bring up our site where we can put a building in a sidewalk line. So we're going to start with, we're going to add a split line. And if you remember doing the roof on this project, the lines are where, you know, it starts, it changes those levels. Okay. Now we're going to make a split line. Elevation base should be project base point, and we're going to make it -5 inches, which is the thickness of our slab. And we're going to bring all this dirt up to the bottom of the slab level. And if you turn on your chain, check that. Now I want to come out about, 4 to 5 feet out. You remember our canopy here is like 6 feet deep, so I'll just use that as a visual and come about 4, 5, 6 feet out from the building, and then come around the building. And if you watch your snaps, you can see it's snapping off of that rear wall, so it's parallel and perpendicular. And I'll go around the 3 sides, and I want to come back in and just tie back into that original one there. Okay, now that that changed my topography so that it's 5 inches everywhere that goes. So now I'm going to escape out of that. But I've still got void under my building. So we're going to have to add some points to that. So let's come back to our site plan, and let's edit our view range and make our cutting plane at like minus, 6 inches. Yeah, we'll make it -6 inches. Okay. So now we can see, you can see the walls there, but you see this big hole. So let's select it and go modify sub elements. And what we'll do is we'll go around to each of these little blue points, and if it'll pick up an elevation marker, like it'll highlight there, I can make that -5 inches. Some of them you'll be able to change, some of them you can't change. Okay. And so that's got rid of all the contour lines inside of our building. We got to do some stuff on the outside there, but that's fine. So let's go to our section view and look. And so now that's our topo solid. So it's right up to the bottom of the slab. We look at our 3D view. We've got some issue right here where this is like really low. So we gotta pull that up a little bit. And same way back over here at the roll-up door, we got to pull that up some. So we'll go back to our site plan. And let's see. I don't know if we can. Let's see. What is that one? -3 feet. Let's make that -1 foot. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so that looks pretty good there. What is this one? -3 feet. Let's make that -1 foot. Okay, so that looks better as far as it goes right up next to the building. We may have to adjust that when we go to do the parking lot. And that looks good over there. Okay, so let's go back to site plan here. And we're going to put in the sidewalk around the front of the building and down this side here. And I'm going to do a subdivide. So let's do a subdivide and let's change our material. Concrete broom finish. I don't think it's loaded in there already. No. Concrete broom finish. Okay. And we'll make it 4 inches thick. Apply that. And now that you could pick walls or pick lines, either one. I'm going to pick the outside edge of that wall. And then like the outside edge of this wall. And then I'm going to draw a couple of lines. Okay, now let's make these 4 feet out. Okay. And let's see, let's pick line on the back side here. And I'm gonna pick this side here also. And now we'll do a trim. And let's take that one to here. Now we got that all trimmed. Okay. Now we're not it should be a closed loop. And so there's our sidewalk. Okay. So that's looking pretty good there. I know we're still going to have to play with some of our contours around here, but we'll get to them when we start doing our parking lot. Okay, so let me pause this one and then we'll move ahead.